Welcome to A Better Divorce podcast, where we have conversations about the emotional, financial, and legal issues that are on your mind or should be on your radar if your goal is to keep your divorce out of court. I'm collaborative divorce attorney and mediator Andrea Vacca, and I know that how you divorce matters to your long-term well-being. That's why it's my mission to help you have a better divorce with as little acrimony as possible, so that you can create the best life possible on the other side of your marriage. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to welcome Julia Hoagland to A Better Divorce podcast today to talk about one of the most common issues that come up in divorce, and that's how to sell a home and get as much as possible out of the deal. Julia is associated with Compass and is the principal and founder of the Julia Hoagland Team there, which is one of the top-ranking residential real estate teams in Manhattan. And Julia and I have known each other for many years, and I've seen what sets her apart is this data-driven approach, probably from her background as an engineer, and just this way of looking at the market and allows her and her team to really get the best results for their clients. So I wanted to cover this topic today because when a divorcing couple owns a home, there are usually two main ways that they deal with it. Either one person buys the other out, or they decide to sell and divide the proceeds. So as soon as we know as divorce attorneys that a couple is going to be selling the home, my job is to make sure all the important details that are related to the sale are agreed upon in advance and written out clearly in the separation agreement that we're helping the couple to negotiate. So, Julia, I want to make sure we're doing the right thing on our side and how it's what you would suggest, because maybe there's a disconnect here. I probably not, but I want to make sure that we're doing what we need to do for our clients so that they can get the best outcome with you. So welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrea. Happy to be here.
Great to have you here. So Julia, let's talk about the different issues that come up when a couple is deciding to sell the home that they've been living in maybe for many years, and they want to sell it as quickly as possible and get the most money as possible. So from my point of view, the first step is you need to choose an agent. Like, you need to figure out who's going to help you sell this home. Very few clients decide to do it themselves. And for a divorcing couple, it's not the time to start trying to sell a home on your own. So you generally need professional guidance. So let's talk. I'd like to know your opinion. Do you think it's important or necessary for, divorcing spouses to each have their own agent, or would it be best if they work with one? And then how do they best communicate under either of those circumstances?
Very salient questions. And I love your approach has been and is collaborative. And that's my approach as well. And it's so important, even though the couple is getting divorced. So there is a separation there, clearly, per se. But if it's done collaboratively on my side, it's also the best way to go. So in terms of whether to have one agent or both agents, or more than one agent, it's not uncommon with divorcing couples to have each of them have a relationship with a broker. And despite the fact that two brokers, and I'll tell you a specific story in a second, may be completely competent and capable and expert at what they do, it's so important to choose one. And that's the old adage, the having too many chefs in the kitchen, comes to mind, because as much as we have very good intentions of trying to work well together and trying to still do our jobs and maximize value for the clients, which is what we do at the end of the day, it's impossible not to step on each other's toes if you have two finely oiled machines trying with very little preparation to literally merge themselves together. It's impossible not to have things to have inefficiencies created. So the story that I can think of in terms of this happening is, having a couple that we were working with. Again, situation, I knew the wife, another seasoned broker knew the husband, and they wanted to work with their, individual relationships, which is understandable. I get that. And as I said, exactly what happened. We just ended up trying to be polite and make sure that we were giving each other a heads up in terms of what we were doing and when. And it ended up creating all of these inefficiencies. So what I recommend in these cases is to choose one of the two brokers and have the chosen broker pay the other broker a referral fee if the parties are really interested in treating their contacts fairly. If that's not possible to be done, if they really don't want to use one their own or neither of them, then have those two brokers get together and choose a third broker, or have an independent party choose a third broker that nobody knows.
That's a great idea. Yeah, because some people say, "Oh, my good friend is a broker, and I want to give her the work," and the other person says, "Well, there's this guy in my that always advertises in our building, and I want to use him, and I know the guy upstairs used him." So, it's with the best intentions that they think their broker would do the best job. But I like this idea of pick one,
Yeah,
pick one and let them pay a referral fee to the other so that everybody's
exactly.
getting their cut. You're getting the brokers are making the same money, but
Mhm.
the deal will get done more efficiently and effectively.
Exactly.
So what if they now decide though that they just want to work with you or one agent? What is the best way for a divorcing couple who might be in the middle of a divorce or towards the end or already divorced? Maybe communication is still tense. They're not living together. Maybe how do they best communicate with you? Like, what's the best way for a couple to work with you, together?
It's we love to meet our clients where they are, to the extent that it's in their best interests. And so by all means, our goal, from a human's perspective, is just to make things as easy as possible in what is likely a pretty difficult time. That said, it's so critical to establish clear lines of communication on each step of the transaction in terms of who is going to be on the calls when we have questions about marketing or exposure. And even more importantly, when we have a deal come in, who are we going to be able to count on being there to answer questions about response to negotiations? And that can be both parties, if both parties are committed to being in the place that we need them to be at that time. And real estate transactions unfold on their own schedules. And so it's just hard to know exactly when that's going to be. We had our first divorcing client that we worked with many years ago. The wife was living in the apartment still that they were trying to sell, and the husband decided, and it's to his own volition, no judgment whatsoever, but decided to go on a 6-week safari in Africa. And there was no way to get a hold of him. We had a deal on the table, and time kills deals is, again, the best thing I can use as an old adage, because it was so lucky that time didn't kill that deal. We had a very understanding buyer who was willing to wait, understood the situation. But you don't want to lose. I mean, it really just is about not losing money by losing deals by virtue of someone not being able to have able to connect with.
So in that situation where hopefully he had a lovely safari and came back, and lucky him, he still had a deal to sell his home. But in that, if a couple knows that one person will not be available physically, telephonically, by the internet, to say yes or no, to make decisions, do you ever have them give the other power of attorney, or do they just, how do they handle that? Like, what would somebody do if they know that one person won't be available, whether it's emotional or physical?
Power of attorney is a magical thing if it can be it can be actually imparted. I've never had that be agreed to, personally. I mean, it's a great thing in concept, but I can only imagine. I've never been through a divorce, but there's a sense of loss of control over a number of different areas of life, and so it's hard to get one party to give the other party complete control over the decisions. So what I try to do to suggest something that might be, fair is, okay, one person is going to have the decision on preparing the property, and one person is going to have the decision on when the property is able to be shown, and then one person is going to have the decision on, the negotiations of the deal, and assuming that both parties are truly interested in maximizing value, which is most often something that even divorcing couples can agree on. they just want the most money at the end of the day. It makes it a little easier to cede control over that one piece if they have control over other pieces.
I like it. Zones of decision making.
Yes.
We do that sometimes. We see that in high conflict parenting situations.
Mm.
One parent will have a zone, an influence over education, the other over medical.
Exactly.
Those are for their children. So, but this, you can do that for a simple, short period of time with regard to a deal like this, selling
Yeah.
your home. So that's great to know. Good to
Mm.
think about. So now, what we also, so we'll encourage people to find a broker, of course. Can you agree on a broker? Hopefully you can. If they can't, we'll refer them to somebody. They usually know somebody, as you mentioned. But then we also encourage our clients to agree in advance on how to set the listing price and how to plan for price adjustments if the property doesn't sell as quickly as they would have hoped. So we realize that our client, and at this moment in time, maybe they'll be like, we don't need to do that. We'll figure it out then. We'll figure out how to reduce the price. I'm sure we'll agree. And I know better because I've been doing this a long time, that it's unlikely that they will be in the same exact spot at that moment in time and their outlook. So, for example, where one person is living in the home and the other one has moved out, the person living in the home might not feel the need to sell if they're comfortable. They want to
Mhm.
get the most money. They don't want to reduce the price yet. They want to give it more time. The person who's moved out says, I want my money. I want to buy something new. Come on, we got to get this done. I think we should reduce it and let's see what we can do. So, do you agree that we're doing the right thing on our side on the agreements and the contracts we're putting together for our clients, that price reductions are going to be worked in ahead of time and thought about ahead of time? Is that prudent to do it that way?
100%. And what's interesting about what you just said is one party might not be as much in a hurry because maybe they're living in the home and they want the most money, whereas the other party wants their money now. The beauty of that is that the most money for a real estate transaction is always had within the first 4 to 6 weeks of marketing. And that's why we're so committed to trying to convey the importance of strategic pricing out of the gate, because we don't set the price. The market sets the price. What we do is make sure that we present the property in the best way possible. We expose it to the maximum number of target markets as we can in as condensed a time frame as we can. And we price strategically so that those target markets that we're doing all this work to attract people to this property that we've done all this work to present are the ones that are looking in that right price point. And that's, if we're missing that mark, we miss, you get one chance to make a first impression. We miss that chance. And even if we do have a plan to adjust, we are not adjusting in the optimal market. So that all being said, it doesn't always work out that people will take the advice of strategic pricing. And so with a plan in place, you have at least the ability to make sure that the property does sell, as opposed to just sitting on the market and getting stale, which all that does is take money out of sellers' pockets. We had a divorcing couple once, exact same situation. The wife lived in the property, although interestingly enough, she was the one that was more motivated to sell and move on. The husband did not. And the husband, this is a co-exclusive situation that we talked about earlier. He had his own broker. She had me. I had more experience, I'll just say, in the market, and I had seen the property. The other broker put a crazy high price without even having seen the property. We agreed to price in the middle of where we thought, but still much higher than the market was. And we had the 5%, it was 5% every 4 weeks until we had a signed contract, was the agreement, thankfully, that was put in place. We ended up adjusting 5 times and sitting on the market 6 months. We did finally sell, but I am without a doubt convinced if we had priced strategically out of the gate, we would have sold more quickly and for a higher price.
Wow. Well, that's the next time you have a co-broker, you can share that story and say,
Exactly.
"Please listen, let's try my way."
Yeah, I mean, it's a
Wow.
proven method. It does work. But again, people are emotional and you can put logic in front of people all day long. And we all, myself included, make emotional decisions at the end of the day.
And I don't know if there's any other than children. There's nothing more emotional that people get it are feeling emotional towards than their home in a divorce.
Yeah,
It brings up so many emotions and feelings and hopes and dreams and regrets
I know.
and financial security. There's so much that goes into that. So
Yeah,
taking letting agreements to be made before you get emotional about it is really the best way to do it. So
completely agree.
yeah. So you talked about, setting the listing price, um, and, market exposure. So can you say a little bit more about what you mean by that? Like, what do you do to go to the right, be in front of the right people with the right number? And, how do you use your data and your analysis to do that?
So the our job is to maximize value for our clients. That's basically what it comes down to. And our interests are aligned with our clients. We get paid on a percentage of sales price. So we're very motivated to have that price be as high as possible along with our clients. Selling real estate for maximum value, it's not rocket science what we do, but it does take an intense focus on three key pillars: expert marketing and presentation, maximum and comprehensive exposure, and strategic pricing, as I mentioned earlier. And so, if when you get those three things right, you can truly clear the market and maximize value. And that strategy works for any asset, really, be it hair dryers or copper or real estate. And so, to market and present the property, we recommend staging. It's the non-financial value of real estate is not to be underestimated, especially residential real estate, because once you can connect with the emotional side of buyer's psyche and get them to want the property, they stop caring as much about how much it costs. And that's when sellers really win. And that's what we do with staging, is to help buyers imagine themselves and their families in this home. And it's great to see that. How you can see it actually when it's transpiring in people's heads. And then the exposure piece, our job is to identify the maximum number of target markets that we think might have the one and exactly one buyer we need in them. And we don't know where that buyer is going to come from. It could come from anywhere. So we go full on out. Compass has a number of technological tools that enable us to do that in a very condensed time frame. The ideal situation is if we have multiple bidders at once, because people want what other people want. And you have someone that's bidding under the asking price, 10% under, and then you have someone else that comes in and bids. Suddenly that person is bidding ask or above. I mean, it's a lot of strategy, and it's a lot of operating as the market gives us information. We can then adjust and pivot quickly to meet the market where the market is. And then that strategic pricing, again, is to just ensure that we're people that are looking at real estate are looking in a band. Anytime that we search for real estate, we say we want to look up to X dollars. If we're in that area, but we look much worse than anything else that's priced in that area, we're going to be overlooked. And so that's why it's so important to get in the right range. And again, it's just asking price is not a prediction, it's a strategy.
Right. Well, you refer to your team a lot. So I'm sure everybody has a role in all of this process, from communicating with the client to setting the price to dealing with the other brokers or the attorneys or whoever else is involved here. So, but sometimes there are other agents out there that are oh, just work alone, don't work in a team. So with all of the things that you would be doing, like, what is the benefit? Or I assume you'll say there's a benefit. So, but what's the difference someone should expect by working with an individual agent versus a team? Like, what will happen differently there? If you can talk about that.
Yes, of course. In 2005, I started this business by myself, and I did everything. And I quickly learned, within the first year, I had hired my first teammate. We're now 8 people. And the reason that I went this direction, and there are a lot of ways to skin a cat, but real estate transactions unfold on their own schedules, not on mine and not on anyone on my teams. And there's a myriad of critical and often time-sensitive details to attend to in any part of the process, which is huge. Starts from the preparation to the exposure to the marketing to the showing to the diligence collection to the negotiating to the appraisals and inspectors and all of these things. There's a lot going on, and I'm not good at all of those pieces, and my team is not good at everything I do, and so it's for two main reasons. I felt a team is the best way to serve our clients' interests. One is so that the transactions get attended to when they need attending and not when I'm available to attend to them. And two, people that are using a team, and it could be my team or another team, but are getting the benefit of multiple heads of seasoned levels of expertise for the same price that they're going to pay for an individual agent. So yes, I believe in the team concept because I know it helps me and my team serve our clients best. I suspect anyone that's an independent agent will have their own reasons for why it's best to be working with an independent agent, and I respect that. But having done both, I know for a fact that at least for us and our clients, this way works best.
Okay. Well, I'm a huge proponent of the team approach, whether it's for your divorce and having the right divorce team, or here in my office, I can't do everything. I want my team to be helping and serving our clients when I can't be available, just like you said, right? It's about time and what everyone's good at,
Yeah.
So I completely get that. So what you mentioned about staging. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that because that's, we'll often, my clients will often agree, we will share the cost to get the home prepared for sale. And the painting and the minor repairs and the refinishing the floors, whatever it is, like those things are fine. Everyone will agree that needs to be done. But the one thing that they might not agree on is staging. And so whether it's a home where they've already moved out, there's no furniture in it, or it's been a very cluttered home, or it's very, they've lived in it for years and there's all their personal things in there. I know brokers often recommend staging. So can you talk a little bit about that? Like under what circumstances do you recommend it and to what extent? What does staging mean? Is it getting stuff out and staging it? Or is it bringing stuff in? Like what are we talking about with staging?
It's a great question, and the answers are varied, and it depends on what the state of affairs is in the space. It's almost, I can say that less than 5% of our cases have we not done anything to because they're just like designer properties as it is. And that, some people do live like that. It's unusual, especially in cases of divorce, because the two parties had at least until very recently been cohabitating in the space, or maybe still are. I go back to the non-financial value of real estate being what truly drives value beyond that which any numbers can argue for, because people form an emotional connection with a space. And one specific example to finish the answers to your question is, we were working with a divorcing couple, and the husband or the wife, I can't actually remember who was moving out now, was like halfway moved out at that time. And they were kind of, it was rapid fire. And I understand, again, they're just done and they want to be done and they just want to move on. And so as fast as everything can happen, that's how fast they want it to happen. And so there were, the closets were half empty and there were hangers askew and there were boxes and corners and there were this, and they wanted to get the property on the market right away. And we were begging them, please don't do this. It's not in your best interest. Just wait, move out, declutter, we'll help you. We have a team. We can recommend, organizers, all of these things. They insisted on having us list. And we spent weeks trying to show the property. I mean, we did show the property and did our best. But what people see is a home that's split, that's clearly messy and unhappy. And, that's like real, that no one wants to buy that. They don't, this is going to be their home. They don't, it's like, there's not a good feeling around it. We finally got them after several weeks to take the property off the market, stage it. which in that case didn't mean bringing in a lot or spending even a huge amount of money. It just, we'll put together a 3-page staging, it's 3 to 4, depending on the property, consultation. We call it staging consultation. And for properties that are already furnished and have, the scale, the necessary scale in them, it's often about taking away 3/4 of what's in the property. We'll stage bookshelves, which sounds silly, but it does, just like, it's never the way that you would live in a property, but that's not important. It's important not to distract buyers from the real estate that they're buying with what's in the real estate that's being sold. And so that's really what staging comes down to, is providing perspective. And so if there isn't furniture, we do recommend professional staging, which we can again coordinate, or decluttering, and again making sure the real estate is what's being seen as opposed to what's in the real estate.
Such a good point. You walk into a space, you're feeling the energy, and if it's been this sad half, like the sad couple not living happily, they've left half their stuff, that image of the hangers askew, and I mean, no one, like, absolutely, it's going to repel people. So happy
Exactly.
that couple listened to you. I mean, I know when you do bring in, stage, like, all kinds of furniture and carpets, and that can be done. But my understanding, and let me know if this is correct, that you don't need to put the money out of pocket. Some companies will pay for that, like Compass might, or your team, I don't know who does it, would pay and then take it out of the proceeds of the sale, right? So they don't have to put the money up front. Is that correct?
No. At Compass, and I don't know the situation with other agencies, whether they're doing this or not, but Compass did start something and was a pioneer actually in this concept of, we call it Compass Concierge. And it's an interest-free loan for up to 12 months that basically will pay for staging and preparation for the home, which, to Compass's credit, it's in Compass's best interest. They're making money when properties sell for higher prices. The agents are making money for when properties sell for higher prices, and the clients are happy and more likely to provide repeat business. So it's just such a win-win concept, and yeah, it avoids having any money come out of pocket, which in a divorce I would imagine is even better, because then you don't need to figure out whose money the pocket is coming out, whose pocket the money is coming out of.
It absolutely. So it's a win-win-win for everybody. And I had a client. I think I had a broker from Compass. That's how I now that I think about it. And this home had been a hoarder's home, and then all the stuff was out. And my client didn't live there anymore. He
Mhm.
hired he had the staging come in. I think he paid, it was like $30,000 worth of staging, but
Yeah.
he got. I mean, it sold in 3 weeks. This home
Oh,
that never would have sold. It sold in 3 weeks, and for more than he expected. It sold over listing. So it was,
amazing.
I don't remember the exact amount, but totally got their $30,000 back, a return on that investment.
Always,
Um,
yes.
so thank you so much. This is, I mean, it really helps me to know that what we imagine is happening out there, and helping the way we want to help our clients work best with you. We're on the right track here, and
Yes.
and and to be able to tell them, like, this is, why, not that they push back on it, but there's a basis for this, why we're asking you to do all these things,
Mhm.
and hopefully their home will be sold very quickly when they reach
Yes.
out to you. So one thing I'm asking all my guests is, if there's one from your perspective, is there one tip that you would give somebody for a better divorce? What's your better divorce tip?
My better divorce tip is to trust the advisors that you're investing a lot of money in, and let us do our jobs, because it's going to be in the best interests of your bottom line at the end of the day. As I mentioned earlier, I can only imagine, and I am a control lover myself, but I can only imagine going through a divorce and having what I would imagine is a loss of control over a lot of aspects. Take uh, the fact that you have a team of trusted advisors around you that, again, you're investing quite a bit of money in, and just step back, let them do the things that we do the best, so that you, the divorcing couple, can focus on things that we can't help you with.
Right, exactly. All right, I love that, and Yeah, they don't have to control everything. I can be a control lover too. We don't, but just like you don't know everything, you don't know everything ever. So you're paying these people good money, me,
Yeah,
you, everybody else.
right.
And we've done this, and we're all out there to help you. So Julia, thank you. So how can people find you? What's the best way to reach out if anyone wants to talk to you?
I appreciate your asking. jhoagland@compass.com. And my cell phone is 646-696-1372.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
it's been great having you. And this has been another episode of A Better Divorce Podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode. You've been tuning in to another episode of A Better Divorce Podcast with Andrea Vacca. Thank you for subscribing, leaving your positive comments and reviews, and sharing the show with others. You can watch episodes at vaccalaw.com, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And you can listen through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Bye for now, and remember, you can have a better divorce.